Welcome to the Two Grumpy Bastards podcast, where feelings aren't felt and snowflakes melt. Buckle up, it's gonna be a bumpy ride.
These confines with a monarch's voice cry havoc! Let slip the dogs of war. To my city steps. You insult my queen. You threaten my people with slavery and death. Oh, I've chosen my words carefully, Persian. Perhaps you should have done the same. This is blasphemy. This is madness. Madness. This is Sparta!
They painted over ants.
There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch and it's bringing me out the dark. Finally, I can see you crystal clear. Go ahead and sell me out and I'll lay your ship bare. See, I'll leave with every piece of you. Don't underestimate the things that I will do. There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch and it's bringing me out the dark. The scars of your love remind me of us. They keep me thinking that we almost had it all. The scars of your love, they leave me breathless.
All right, you got to worry about that copyright thing.
Yeah.
So, hey Russ, good to see you.
Yes, it's always good to see me.
I bet you're asking yourself now, why did Coop play that song by that formerly curvy red-haired diva that we all think is a very talented lady?
I bet I'm not asking that because I know it was probably the number one song in 2011.
It was, and this is episode 111, and we do our yearly review until we run out of years, I guess, here in episode 124.
Start over again like back in 1926.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. That'd give it some interest, that's for sure. People are like, oh, like you guys aren't fucking high on yourselves with all your knowledge as it is, trying to educate us, Mr. Military History Professor. I'm sure somebody is saying.
Somebody probably is saying that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're so smart, guys. You keep reminding us. Hold on a sec. Is my Yeti being used? Yes. Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you fine.
Okay. I was having audio problems when I was doing checks earlier too. So, yeah. So Adele, I got to tell you, that is probably my favorite number one song that we've played in a very long time on these.
Probably since the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That I love that song.
And
Everybody
that was
loves
before Adele got. It was to me that was before Adele got really fat and then she got skinny all over again from the
Yeah,
stomach surgery.
I'm not sure where I'm at with Adele. Like fat Adele, skinny Adele. She's a beautiful.
I don't.
lady.
I'm fine with her
very
being
beautiful.
skinny. If she
Yeah.
wants to be, it's just she's got a great voice. She's probably one of the best voices of the last generation.
Yeah, no, she's right up there with me too. I love me some nice divas. Even she pops up on this list here as we go through it. But one of my favorite voices in our generation is Christine Aguilera. If you get her
Yeah.
off the hip hop into like traditional and stuff, oh my God, she has pipes like in the movie. What was that, Cabaret or whatever that's called? With Cher.
I don't know. I'm not gay.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. That's why I asked you. Anyway, I know she's a talent, but Adele's right up there. Let's review the rest of the top 10. You probably not are going to be, you're not going, God, I can't even talk today. You're probably not going to be.
Wug how.
Yes, we talk now about song. You're probably not going to be surprised by the lack or the fall off of what I consider good music as we're going through. There's one more on here I like a lot, but Party Rock Anthem, Laugh My Fucking Ass Off featuring Laura Bennett and Goon Rock.
Never heard of it.
Why would that be number 2 on any list ever? I mean,
Just the title alone.
it's fine. Like Andrew WK is a guy I listen to, and his songs are just absolutely nonsensical. It's like party all night, but they're workout music songs. I don't know why. No. Anyway. Okay. Firework by Katy Perry.
Believe it or not, I actually think that's an okay song.
I do too. I actually overall like some of Katy Perry, but that one, I Am a Lion, Hear Me Roar, that song's one of the worst songs I've ever heard in my life. I actually would get angry when I would hear that song. And I would bet you 2013, it's probably the number one song now that I said that. You remember the one I'm talking about?
Well, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about because I remember the Super Bowl performance.
Fuck, that song is still, I mean, like some eighth grader on a lot of sugar wrote that song on a Casio. It's fucking terrible. All right. Also at number four is Katy Perry featuring Kanye with E.T. I'm not sure what that song is.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. Oh, before we go on, I got to tell you, I had lunch with friend of the show.
Kanye?
No, Derek Johnson.
Sorry.
Derek Johnson last week. We had our once every few months get together lunch, and we were talking a lot about the podcast.
hmm
And because I was on Hardcore Husky quite a bit back in the day, and um, he wanted me to make sure you knew that he mainly agrees with you when we
Sounds like a man of
when
intelligence.
you argue over movies. And he says, and I sit there and I scream at my phone. How could the fuck of you guys not know what song that is? How could you not have heard that song? You're
Because
ridiculous.
we're old. Because we're old farts. That's why.
Well, in my case, I have taste. This thing called.
Yeah. Well, I have taste. Yeah. Plus, a lot of my music trends towards when the rare times I do listen to music, my music will trend towards country.
I'm all over the map. You never know.
Well, I do have a couple of CDs that I downloaded stuff when I bought stuff off of Amazon. But it's music taste that's all over the place. It's everything from um, fun. I don't know, Nate, whatever his name is, sings Some Nights.
Mm,
Everything from
mm.
that to Meatloaf to Cyndi Lauper to Darius Rucker. So I got a
Yeah,
whole
I'm
mixture
down
of
with all that.
songs.
I'm down with that. That's me too. I love my Apple Music lists or my playlists that I put together. That way I can hop back and forth. And
Yeah.
I think back when I was drinking heavy, I put a list together that said something like just plain good shit. And I remember, I
Yeah.
remember, remember a couple years ago when Brandy and I were at the beach. I'm like, hey, let me play this. Let's see what's on this playlist. And it was
Uh-oh.
the weirdest fucking stuff I've ever heard in my life. I'm like,
Well,
how drunk were you when you put that together? But
I've got two CDs. One of them is my inspirational or romantic music CD. It starts off with I believe there are angels among us by I think Alabama sings that,
I don't know that
and
song.
then you have to see it. It's one of those I can't I'm not even gonna try to sing it because my singing voice sucks.
Is it
And then the other
classic
one
Alabama or is it older, like when they got fat and started dying of like
I
heart
think it's
congestion?
classic.
Okay, I don't remember that.
And then my other is the more upbeat fun stuff. It starts with uh, "You're the Best" from the Karate Kid movie.
I got that on my phone too somewhere. I know I've sent that to you a couple times as a joke. Um, all right, let's keep going here. That was E.T. by Katy Perry. Give Me Everything by Pitbull featuring Neo, Afrojack,
Never heard of it.
Afrojack, and Nair.
Did you say Neo Applejacks?
It's what? No, it's Afro, like
Oh,
Afro
okay,
haircut,
I get it now.
Jack, Afro Jack, which is a hilarious name. I don't know why I've never heard that before. It's like
Him
I
and
actually
Kangaroo Jack get together.
I want to meet Afro Jack because you know what? I bet you I could talk him into calling me a jive turkey because I love it when black guys call me. I love it. I had one young man. That's what he'd call me every time he'd see me. What's going up, jive turkey? And I'm like, God, I love that. I feel like I'm back in the '70s and '80s. Um, a song by Bruno Mars, which I'm not a huge fan of his, called "Grenade." I don't remember that one. Comes at
I
number
think
six.
I remember that when it's okay. It's nothing. I won't change the channel if it's on the radio, but I
Okay.
don't like seek it out.
Yeah, I don't hate him, but I just yeah, it's kind of like bleh. Um, "Fuck You, Forget You" by CeeLo Green. That's actually what's on my list here.
Mm, don't
Nice.
remember
That's
that one. I know who CeeLo Green
classy.
is, but don't know that song.
Classy. Apparently, CeeLo Green's very classy.
I guess so.
Um, "Super Bass" by Nicki Minaj.
Never heard the song.
This song makes me homicidal, this next one. And homicidal towards the guy who sings it. And I'm just being metaphorical, folks out there. I'm not threatening this guy. Not yet. As I like to say, I'm not threatening because threats carry some degree of uncertainty. That's why I don't threaten anybody. Um, I liked this band, the first album that came out a long time before that, and they were like, I had no idea who they were, and they opened up from Matchbox Five right before I moved out, right before I met you. Moves Like Jagger by Maroon Five.
Okay.
I hate this song so bad.
All right. I have two stories about this song.
Oh,
Um, the first of all, I relate this song to my dad only because my dad is an enormous Rolling Stones fan. He loves Mick Jagger. He loves the
hmm
Stones.
hmm
So that's what that song makes me think of it. Second was I was at an exercise in the Philippines in 2012, and we had this little like camaraderie dinner, and they started doing karaoke stuff, and uh, one of the captains tried to get me up there to sing "Moves Like Jagger" on karaoke, and I almost had to threaten with an Article 15 to get him off my back. There
Oh,
was no way
jeez.
I was getting up in front of people to sing that, and he was pushing me hard.
That's funny. Yeah, that would be a tough one, especially since that Adam Levine guy, Mr. Tattoo frickin' whatever he is, Soy Boy, has
Yeah.
that really high register, and it's just like, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I hate that song. I hate that. I hate it. I hate it. All right.
He says Maroon 5 that does that.
Yeah. Yeah. Moves Like Jagger. Yeah.
I actually kind of like some of Maroon 5 stuff.
Yeah, their first album I thought was really nice. I really did. Like I said, they opened up
What?
for Matchbox 20 and I was like, wow, these guys are really good, but that was
Yeah,
the go
one of
ahead.
the first songs my daughter, my youngest, ever like started singing in the car when it came on. The song was on the radio was called Memories. Um, can't remember the name of the song.
Ironic that you say memories. I can't remember the
Yeah,
name
I
of
know. Um,
it.
keep going. I'll find it because it's gonna drive me nuts.
It's all right. Yes, so we're coming up on I got two more after the top 10 to bring up because I found them interesting. Number 10 is Just Can't Get Enough by the Black Eyed Peas. I do like that song. Mostly a Black Eyed Peas fan. Um, just that boom, boom, the one we played with the Ranters.
It's just, by the way, it's just called Memories.
Memories. I know which song you're talking about. I do. Yeah, I listened to them quite a bit back when I had my balls put into a safe every night when I came home. Um,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Back in
Yeah.
yeah, that time of my life. Here you go, lock 'em up. Um, I don't know if you remember this song. It's a controversial song because it's a really cool song, "Pumped Up Kicks" by Foster the People.
No, never heard of it.
It's really cool. It's a cool song, cool tempo song, but it's actually about like somebody whacking a kid on the playground to steal his Nikes or something.
Oh God.
Yeah, I didn't know that when it came out, neither did anybody else. And then you read the words and it's like, and it doesn't sound like anything like that. Um,
Yeah.
I noticed that like the entire Pink album is on here from that year. She
Oh
scored a
God.
bunch in the top 50.
I
Um,
back like around 2001. I was chatting with this girl, like online chat, and was thinking we were gonna hit it off, and turned out she's a big Pink fan, and that kind of was a red flag for me because it's like she's all about the strong, super empowered woman, and basically that's I mean, look, I love strong women. I'm married to one, but back then that was kind of code for I just want to be a bitch and treat you like you know like a cuck, and I'm like no.
I hear you. I will say I think Pink is very talented, and I had a lot of her stuff on my workout mixes and stuff like that. But
She's too angry for me.
she is well. That's why I like some of those angry songs. Um, and let's see, what was the yeah? It look up not now, but I'll send it to you later. The Pumped Up Kicks. It's an interesting song.
Okay.
Okay, let's get out of the music, shall we, and move on.
Yes, let's.
Okay, Russ, do you have any idea what the top domestic box office or the top grossing film of all of 2011 was?
Trying to remember. See, 2011, about halfway through, I got to come back from Iraq, and the summer of 2011 was when my fortunes started to turn, and I started becoming happy again because I got out of the shit jobs I was in and that shitty situation I was in Iraq.
Right.
Um, but I also had a 5-year-old at the time, so I didn't get out to a lot of grown-up movies. So you're gonna have to educate me.
All right, it's Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2,
Okay. All right. If I'd
which
known
su-
that was the year it came out, I would have said that.
which surprised me because there's a couple on this list and that I thought maybe God, I can't those I cannot believe how many hundreds of billions of dollars J.K. Rowling has made for the world.
Oh,
You
I
know,
know. She's yeah.
not I mean in her book sales too. I mean, she was a billionaire when she didn't even have any movies made.
Yep. And
One of
she
the
actually
highest,
took less money for the movie so she could have more creative control.
right, right. Yeah, and she one of the highest grossing authors. I can't remember the list, but I know she's like right there in that top.
She's up there, yeah.
Yeah,
She bought a
Transformers.
castle in Scotland.
Right, that's pretty badass. If she needed a houseboy, I'd go, sure. Can I bring my dogs? Um, Transformers: Dark of the Moon was at number two. I was surprised
I,
that one. That's surprised that one was so high because that definitely wasn't one of my favorite
I
Transformer movies.
never saw. I only saw the first Transformers movie. I never saw another one after that.
Huh. This one isn't terrible, and you know I'm a Transformers nut, so I watched the terrible ones too. I don't care.
Yeah.
Uh, my favorite one is I think it's number two or three where they have like the racist little robots that are running around talking really bad ebonics and black slang.
Okay. Like I said, past number one, the one with Megan Fox and Sheila Both. I haven't seen any of them.
That one, it may even makes me slightly uncomfortable. Uh, even me.
Good to know.
Yes.
That tells me not to watch it.
The Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part One was number three.
I never saw. No.
The Hangover, I've seen all of them, of course. The Hangover Part Two. I don't even remember that movie, to be
I
honest with
do. It was a bad. It was a letdown.
you. I'm sure it was.
It's proof that some movies do not need sequels.
No, I mean The Hangover is perfect. It's a
Hangover is
perfect.
awesome,
I mean
but
the
the problem was
cast,
the Hangover
everything.
made money, and when the
Right.
movie makes money, they're going to try to make a sequel, no matter how much it doesn't need one.
Yeah, no, that one didn't. Everything about the cat, everything about The Hangover was perfect. It was a really, really well executed. I put it on my perfect movie tier. There's not a lot there. That's
Yeah.
one. Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. Couldn't tell you a thing about it. I wasn't
After,
interested after the second one.
well, the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie was the only one that was worth a shit.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't even. I couldn't tell you which one's what or whatever.
I watched number two. I walked out of number three.
Gotcha. Fast Five is comes in at number six. That franchise, of course.
Okay,
Family. It's all about family. Uh, Cars
never saw any
2.
of those movies.
Cars 2. I've seen a couple of them. They're entertaining, but I'm not really into cars and that kind of culture that much. So,
No, yeah, no.
you'd have to kind of be. If you look at what's in the driveway downstairs, you'll go that, yeah, he doesn't really care about cars that much. I just want something that runs well and looks okay. Fast Five, Cars 2, coincidentally, the animated deal right after that comes in at number seven. I don't remember that one either, but I remember loving the first Cars movie. So
I remember the first one. The second one, I want to say they go to Monaco to race or something like that.
I'll have to check it out. It's probably on Disney, huh? Disney
I'm
Plus.
sure it is.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out when I'm feeling grumpy or something and need a little. I'm sorry, I just looked at the screen and my news screen. I'm like, what the hell happened? Because somebody was getting a breast exam. And I'm like,
What news channel was this?
it's Fox News. And I'm like, oh, okay. Wasn't expecting to see that when I looked over there. Um, the it's one of those raw moments in a podcast that you just kind of roll with. You know what I mean? Um, Number eight, I liked this movie and I wanted to love this movie, but there just wasn't. I don't know. There was something, and Kenneth Branagh directed it, and he's one of my favorite Hollywood people of all time, ever, ever, ever. Thor.
You know what? I have to this day I have only seen snippets of that movie. I've never seen the entire movie.
Yeah, it's good, but what was kind of weird about it is that, like, it's all filmed. They saved a lot of money on it. I don't think they were thinking it was going to do very well because it's all filmed like in New Mexico at like some research lab thing.
Hmm.
And then there's, the CGI versions of Asgard, of course, that are in it too. But nothing really much happened. This robot comes down from Asgard and starts lighting shit up, and Thor has to destroy it. And he and fucking what's her face, Jane, fall in love. It was like,
Yeah.
okay, expected more from my Thor. He was probably my second favorite Marvel character growing up. I wonder why.
Hmm. Probably because he was like your opposite.
That's not true.
Swing that hammer, bitch.
Let's see. Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I don't even remember that one at all. I know.
I do. I didn't see it, but it horrible.
Was it horrible? Yeah, the
Well,
one
I
with
didn't see the whole thing.
the
But
first one, the first reboot with Mark Wahlberg was terrible, terrible.
was eight. All right. here's what I always say about
It was an
that one.
embarrassment.
All right, you remember how The Sixth Sense was a good movie that was made great by the ending?
Yes.
All right, the Mark Wahlberg version of Planet of the Apes was a bad movie made even more horrible by the ending.
Yes. 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 It was just terrible. I didn't mean to sound like Jeff Goldblum. Yes. Um, it was yeah, that one was terrible. I did watch a couple of the new CGI versions. Everybody says the last one that just came out, with the actress from The Witcher, is good. I watched about 20 minutes of them. I'm like, I'll keep this in my list, but I've never went back to it.
Okay,
And you know I hate monkeys, so
why do you hate monkeys?
because they're gross.
They
They're
share
gro
like
they
98% of our DNA.
they fucking fling their shit. They're fucking stupid, and I don't know. And then they can rip my face off, which I don't appreciate.
I've got a on my Netflix list. I've got one of the primate documentaries about some clan of monkeys in
Never
I
gonna
don't know
happen.
where.
I won't watch it. Okay, let me tell you something. Midgets and monkeys are pretty close on my things that for some strange reason I have phobias of. So they're
Are
pretty
you
close.
friends with me then? But there's actually there's a midget comedian.
You're my exposure therapy.
There's a midget comedian named Brad Wilson. I think his name is Brad
Brad
Wilson.
Williams. Brad Williams.
Brad Williams.
I love Brad
He's
Williams.
awesome. I love him.
Yeah, he's great.
Have you ever heard his riff on when he went to Afghanistan?
I have. Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I have.
Okay.
Yeah, he matter of fact, I heard it a couple times. He used to be on Corolla a lot, and he and Adam Ray are buddies, and I do a lot of Adam Ray watching. So
Yeah.
they used to have a podcast together, but they both got too big to have their podcast together. Uh,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I mean, well, too busy, doing their own
Yeah.
careers and stuff.
I know what you mean because they're he's not gonna get big.
No, he's not. Uh, and then where were we? Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and number 10, a movie that I truly love, Captain America: The First Avenger.
Oh yeah. As I've always look, when it comes to the Avengers, Iron Man is my favorite Avenger, but Captain America makes better movies.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Um,
The
yeah,
Captain America standalone, Captain America, the ones that are entitled Captain America are some of the best in the Marvel universe.
I agree. There was a couple I wanted to make a comment outside the top 10. Number 12, one of my what I think is a incredibly well-made comedy, makes me laugh out loud a lot, Bridesmaids.
Never saw it.
God, do yourself a favor because Kristen Wiig, I think, is one of the funniest, and I'm going to say it, women that I've ever met. And by that I mean the roles she plays and stuff like that, or I've ever seen. I think she was so talented on Saturday Night Live. Um, she's
First
so
thing I ever remember seeing her in, it wasn't even her, it was just her voice, was
Mhm.
Despicable Me Too.
Yeah. She does a lot of video work. She's a busy lady, but Bridesmaids is hilarious. It's fucking hilarious. I don't even. It's everybody says it's kind of like a hangover version for women, kind of like
Okay.
that. So it's that's fairly accurate. And it's got some actors in there. John Hamm does a really hilarious cameo in it. Um,
I'll see if I get the chance, I'll see about checking it out.
yeah, it's probably you and Sherry kind of like having some popcorn watching it because she would like it. It'd be a fun little date movie for you. It's a little bit vulgar, but it's not bad.
Right now, Sherry and I are in our we're actually into season 2 now. We've been watching The Blacklist.
I have never tried that. Everybody tells me I should.
You should. James Spader. James Spader makes the series worth it.
James Spader, I think, is a brilliant actor. I think he always has been.
Well, just I know we're going off on a tangent here, but first thing I ever saw James Spader in was Mannequin. He played some
Right,
goofy corporate
right,
dude, and
right.
then Stargate. But his character in Boston Legal, and then this one in Blacklist, in the Blacklist, is just you'd have to watch it. I can't do the character justice. He's super intelligent, super arrogant, and absolutely ruthless. I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen a character in a show that's more ruthless
That'd be a
than
fun. That'd
Raymond
be a fun.
Reddington.
That'd be fun. That'd be a fun character. Yeah, I'll try it out. I
Yeah, just check it out. Check out the first 2 episodes.
I hate medical dramas because I had a kind of bad experience in medical school and all this other
Yeah.
stuff, and but I did try that HBO Max one, The Pit, the one with Noah
hmm
Wiley. I gotta admit, I was pretty impressed.
Okay. I haven't, to be honest, I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it's like the PITT. They're in a hospital in Pittsburgh, and he, of
Okay.
course, is the super ER doctor, and
Of
the
course he is.
mentor. Yeah, but he does a good job. He does a good job. I used to hate him as an actor, but I don't know. I started when I watched Falling Skies. I started liking him in that. Did you ever watch that series?
I did watch that. The only problem with Falling Skies, and it's a problem that has continued with series today, is that it's got too long a break between seasons.
Yeah, yeah,
It,
I
it
agree.
crushes it. I mean, I remember, and I think I brought this up before, but the absolute, you know, despair when there was 3 months between when Riker said, "Mr. Worf, fire," and we had to see the next episode
Oh
of
God,
Best of
it was
Both
torture.
Worlds.
Well,
It
and
was,
those fucking actors did 22, 25 episodes a season too.
yeah, we're talking about that was 3 months, and it
Now
was
they do
very
eight.
good TV. And
Now they do
now,
eight.
like 2 years, they get ten episodes maybe, and you get 2 years in between seasons.
Well, I know. The next, the final. I can't believe it's already here, but the final episode of the new season of Reacher is coming out this next week, and then it'll be 2 years before we get another Jack Reacher.
Well, I'm
Uh,
waiting. I'm still waiting to see the next uh, For All Mankind.
right,
Still waiting to see the next, Dark Matter,
right,
um, The Ark.
right. Okay. Oh, just one more, and then we'll get the fuck off here. Off this one is no, actually, there was two more I wanted to bring up. Super
Okay.
8. I've asked you to watch this movie a million times, told you about
I've
it.
never seen it.
You'll love it. Like I said, it was a darker Stranger Things before Stranger Things.
Okay.
Perfect little ensemble kids. The kind of the same idea. I know they were inspired by Super 8, the guy that wrote Stranger Things. I know he was. Um, inspired by. Didn't say he stole it. One more. Where was it? Oh, uh, uh, oh. I'll bring this up later. That's why maybe. But the remake of True Grit, I thought was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
I don't know if I think I haven't watched that on principle because I don't like the remakes like that.
I realize
It's a
that
John Wayne classic.
it is a John Wayne classic. What I read the book when I was a kid, and the character and the way they do the movie is right out of the book. Matter of fact, there's a twist at the end that people didn't know because they didn't do it in the original John Wayne one
Yeah.
because they didn't want audiences to be all shocked. But if you remember, that's where Haley Steinfeld got her start in that movie, is playing the young girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I know next to nothing about it other than isn't Jeff Bridges in it?
yes, and Jeff Bridges is the boss. I mean, he's just the fucking boss. I'm sure you probably haven't watched that series, The Old Man, where he's the
No.
ex-CIA agent who's been in hiding, and then he gets found and has to go on the run. The grittiest, badass show I've ever seen in my life. It's so
Okay.
good. And then, what's his name? John Lithgow plays his old boss, and now they're enemies, and that's interesting. So good movie.
Well,
There's so much good stuff to watch out there. It's hard, especially.
yeah, if you get the chance to watch The Blacklist, it's got James Spader. I don't remember the actor's name, but the guy who played Locke in the Matrix movies, he played Commander Locke in the Matrix movies.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's the deputy director of the FBI. One of the main baddies. I don't remember his name, but you've seen it. He was the doctor that replaced Tom Cruise's eyes in Minority Report. He played the Russian astronaut on in Armageddon. He's like the main baddie. They had some cameos by one was by the girl who played in Fried Green Tomatoes, and she was on West Wing.
Gotcha.
Anyway, I think you really enjoy it.
Oh, cool. Let's move on to just a few events for 2011 because we got plenty of ground to cover here.
Yep.
Um, the Green River serial killer pleads guilty to 49th murder. Happened just about half an hour that away from where I'm at right now. So that was a big deal out here, obviously.
Oh yeah.
49th victim.
Jeez.
Um,
How is he not? Well, he's not been fried in the electric chair because Washington State doesn't have the death penalty anymore, do they?
no, they don't have death penalty. Mm-mm. No, we don't have anything. It's a totalitarian state run by a supermajority of fucking idiots. Fukushima nuclear disaster, one of the biggest things that happened. That was
That was in
crazy.
March of that year, I think.
Yes, absolutely it was.
I only remember that because I was in Iraq at the time, and wife and daughter were still in Hawaii, and they was concerned about what was going to happen with tsunamis and stuff.
Right. Yeah, no, that was crazy. That whole thing was crazy. And then as usual, all the those political scientists, and I say that political
Hmm.
slash scientist, went crazy with what was going to happen. And really, nothing really happened.
Doesn't really happen. I know.
The earth didn't get poisoned. It dissipated. I don't know. Osama bin Laden was killed by U.S. forces, as you know, famously in September. Or no, not September. I can't remember when was that?
No, it was May.
May.
'Cause
It was May. It was May.
I was in Iraq at the time.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Um, and I woke up because I had to go to a shift in the dock, and that's when they told me that that's when it was all over the TVs that he had been killed.
Right. Yep. That was amazing. The final NASA space shuttle went up and down. That was a 30-year history. Very sad when the Americans basically lost their spine in the space, and we got to have a
Hmm.
billionaire who everybody hates having to help
Yeah,
catch us up now. Fucking idiots. All right.
I'm sure we'll
Occupy
talk
Wall
some about that
Street.
stuff.
Occupy Wall Street, um, which was
Bunch of bratty children who don't know how the world works.
doesn't know how economics or who pays for everything or the fact that
Yep.
these guys on Wall Street are paying 98% of all the taxes. And um, do
Although
you
what
know
we should have seen was that was the precursor to Antifa.
you have to get into the upper two-thirds of the economic ladder before people actually start paying anything back to the government? I don't mean they're not paying taxes, but what they get from the government is actually far more.
You mean the upper third?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. What did I say? That's what I
you
meant.
said upper two thirds.
Oh yeah, no, upper third. The
Yeah, no,
two-thirds.
I'm aware.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, but hey, pay your fair share. Okay.
I pay my fair share, and I pay the fair share of several other people too.
Yeah, exactly. Um, let's see. Oh, I remember Steve Jobs died that year.
You remember
Uh,
what his last words were?
what's that?
This is not a joke. Do you remember what his last words were?
Oh, I thought it was a joke. No, I don't. I don't.
He started staring off into space and just said, "Oh wow, oh wow, oh wow," like he was seeing something.
Huh. I'm sure I've come across that, but I don't honestly remember that. Um, in one of the most brutal political reprisals ever, Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi is killed by his own folk. Um,
Yeah,
he wasn't just killed, he was tortured and brutalized.
I don't have a problem with what they did with how Gaddafi died, but I will say what happened with Gaddafi showed every single nation on earth do not give up your WMDs because he gave them up voluntarily in 2003 after Saddam died. And turns out that that was one of the only guarantors keeping him in power. And so there's not a nation on earth, there's no tin pot dictator on earth that will ever voluntarily give up their WMDs ever again.
No, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Let's see what else was going on. Oh, and finally, one last thing here is that we declared an end to the war in Iraq on December
Yeah.
15th of 2011. How'd that work out?
Even though I still had friends of mine over there and going over there and doing stuff and
I mean, I came off of active duty in 2013 and uh uh 70% of the division that I was the G3 was were deployed over there. So I'm just saying.
yeah,
Yeah. All right.
political bullshit.
All right, let's get after it. So there's nothing to talk about. I noticed it was a
Oh, pod's over.
slow week all the way around. Do you want to hit I thought we would just kind of do a back and forth. Do you want to hit the fact that do you want to talk about the terrorist attack on Tesla? Do you want to talk about Chuck Schumer? Do you want to talk about AOC and how they're
Judges,
doing? I
um,
mean, what else could we talk about? Oh yeah, Michelle Obama had a podcast that failed, fell on its face, which
held spectacularly.
how much Schadenfreude do you think I get out of that, bro? Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
just a
Well,
little bit.
a lot of people. I remember a lot of people talking back in 2016, looking forward to 2020, saying that Michelle Obama should run. I think that that record is played out.
It's so silly. Based on what basis that she supposedly slept next to the guy who was president, who
Yeah.
had
Well, supposedly everybody liked her. I know some folks like she can win. And I think they overestimated that. I don't think I think people are past her. Maybe she could have done something in 16. She's done. She's old news now, and people are not going to be into her.
I don't think she's a good person, Russ. I don't think she's a good person at all. I think she's actually a bad human being after all of the I've always thought that with her body language and kind of her and now it's just like what kind of elitist fucking pig are you that you have on like your brother and you're bringing on all of these like very rich leftist people and stuff like that instead of maybe some interesting guests who maybe can teach people something instead of just you're trying to be the new Oprah is what you're trying to be on this podcast. That's what she's
Yeah,
trying.
well, look, let me give Michelle Obama credit for one thing, and one thing only. When
Hiding
she
her
was
dick
first
so well all those
lady,
years in her sweatpants.
when she was first lady, one of her causes was military spouses. Because she had on the campaign trail, she didn't know anything about military spouses. She kept hearing these stories from a lot of women, and she looked into it more. And that's when she found the plight of some military spouses. So I will give her credit for that. Now
Sure,
beyond that,
sure.
I I understand, but that one I'll give her credit for. Um, but yeah, she's old news. I don't know how much we need to spend time on her.
No, I brought that up just to kind of joke. I do want to take the Tesla thing and talk about that, break that down a little bit. Um,
Yes, let's.
because I have actually voluntarily unfriended some people now just because I can't take their shit. People I know, people that I like it casually when I talk to them and stuff like that, share interests, photography or something like that. But then I'm like, oh yeah, the stock went down, and Tim Walz is bragging about the Tesla stock going down, and people are. I'm just like, you guys just don't get this. This is like you going up to Mike Tyson in his prime and fucking telling him he's a shitty fighter. I mean, it's just like, what are you doing? And now the left is the party of violence now, violence and terrorism. Who knew? I
See,
thought
the
it was
thing is
your
that
far right wing Nazis.
they've
No, I
always
know,
been that party.
I know they have.
I mean, not only was this the party of the Klan, it's
Right?
also the party of the fiery but mostly peaceful protests of a few
Yeah.
years ago.
Or go back to the civil rights. Those weren't
Yeah,
Republican governors trying to keep black kids out of schools when they
I'm using
desegregated.
dogs and fire hoses against them. Yeah,
Right. Those are Democrats. Democrats opposing the Civil Rights Act and all of that stuff. Getting rid of
but
those were stalwart Democrats. I'm sorry, folks. Go back in history and do your history.
going back to Tim Walz, first of all, I think it was oh, who's the dude on Shark Tank? Kevin O'Leary.
Kevin O'Leary. Kevin O'Leary. Yeah.
Did you hear what he had to say? And he pointed out, he's like, "Hey, Tim, you're celebrating some of the downturn in the Tesla stock. Do you know that your Minnesota state employee pension fund has Tesla in it?"
I know. I love him. I love Kevin O'Leary. I think he's awesome. He's a great addition to the news cycles. He's been more prominent last couple of years.
Yeah. So I mean,
He's such a smart guy.
Walz continues to show he's a dumbass. Did you see Walz on TV say he could kick the ass of most of the Republicans? I'm like, oh, dude, I will give you my address.
Did you see I was trolling him with our X account on that?
No, I didn't see that.
I was like, hey, Governor, 27-year Army veteran. I live up here in the Pacific Northwest, and I'm MAGA. You think you can kick in my ass there, bud? You
Well,
know?
offer him a plane ticket to the nearest parking lot.
Yeah, I'll buy a plane ticket to nearest parking lot. I will do that. I
Yeah.
promise I'll do that.
He's up there talking about, what all he's got. You know what he doesn't have? The vice presidency.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I'm just amazed that, Minnesota. I had relatives in Minnesota back when I was a kid, and it was a bunch of European farmers.
yeah, there's
Like
Vikings.
like actual Vikings, or you know, uh, potato farmers and stuff like that, and ranchers. Some of my relatives did that for a while. But it got like the Pacific Northwest. I always tell stories about when I was a kid. The Pacific Northwest was farmers, loggers, and longshoresmen, and then we had this really cool thing called Boeing. But those were blue collar, guys. That was what the heritage of this state was. Or fishermen, of course. But Minnesota kind of went that way too, the same way the Pacific Northwest did when the Twin Cities up there in Minnesota started getting more and more immigrants and becoming more and more trendy. And the same thing that happened to Seattle. People flocked to Seattle from California and other spots and completely changed the face of politics forever up here.
Yeah, I don't know what. I mean, I think '88 was when Washington State started voting Democrat.
They went back and forth a couple of times. In '88, they did have a Democratic. No, '88. No, you're right. In '80, from '86, '84 to '88, it was Booth Gardner. Because when we won the state championship, you'll love this. When we won the state championship in basketball, we went up to this Capitol for a ceremony and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And Governor Gardner was gracious enough. But back then, there wasn't a whole lot of difference between Governor Gardner and the Republican that he replaced, or something. Just wasn't that much difference. But
Yeah.
he comes down and talks to us, and he comes over and I go, "Hey, Governor, nice to meet you." And he shakes and holds his hand, and I go, "Have you ever shaken the hand of Ronald Reagan before?" And he goes, "Well, of course." And I go, and I started pumping it. And, and to his credit, he started laughing. He thought that was cute. Um, but yeah, it was right about that time because by '92, by the time the presidential election swung around, we lost our Republican Senate seats to Patty Murray and um, oh, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, who now eventually is that woman that I've told you that I had run-ins with. Can you remember Maria Cantwell later got
Oh
those
yeah.
seats.
Okay.
Those Senate suites have never swung back, and we haven't had a Republican governor since the '90s. We haven't had one.
Um,
And our Congress, our state Congress, our state House is like 83%. It's like a super majority.
yeah. Going back to the Tesla thing. The First of all, I love that the attempt at moral equivalence I'm seeing from some folks on the left. It was like, you guys boycotted Target and Bud Light. I'm like, yeah, we chose not to spend money there. We didn't burn them down. And then they try to make an equivocation to January 6th. I'm like, look, no, there is not a mainstream Republican out there that advocates for January 6th. Okay, not one. I mean, I remember being pretty vocal on Facebook myself about how I was not a big fan of that.
Absolutely.
Um, and so stop with that kind of stuff. Right now, it's amazing if you want to look at the historical parallels that there's an angry mob trying to burn down and destroy an immigrant's business and painting swastikas on his business walls. I think I've seen that somewhere before.
Maybe so.
Yet,
Yeah, I think so.
yet they want to call conservatives Nazis. So I don't think they understand. I also got to say I love the technological self-awareness of a bunch of folks who are going after vehicles that are filled to the brim with cameras and recognition technology. They've arrested a few already.
Hmm.
Um, I think I heard this on CNN, but I don't think they understand that they've got a group of folks in power now that have
Hmm.
been itching for a reason to go after the blue-haired lefty crowd.
Hmm.
And now they're giving them a hell of a reason to put these folks in prison for decades. This is terrorism. It is flat out terrorism. It's like since I thought things calmed down from the election to inauguration day. Since inauguration day, the left has lost its absolute fucking mind. I have never
Yep.
seen a tantrum quite this bad. But now I've seen some folks saying that we need to, put Kyle Rittenhouse in charge of security at some of the Tesla dealerships. Um,
That's
I'd be
fun.
happy to, I'd be happy to go do that myself. Now, in fairness, most of the damages that I'm seeing seem to be happening either in California or in the Northeast. There was one attempt to burn down some Tesla EV chargers in South Carolina, and I don't know if you saw this. The dude who tried it set himself on fire.
I did. I did.
Um, I don't. I mean, look, I like Elon Musk. I'm not gonna go out and buy an EV. It's not my thing. So a lot of folks are like, oh, look, the right's going out and buying EVs now. No, Trump did a trollery thing on the lawn of the White House. So did Joe Biden when he had his SUV or his Jeep or whatever it was on there. But Republicans are not going to go out and buy a whole bunch of EVs. That's just not going to happen. But imagine what happens when your liberal progressive neighbor who bought one, I don't know, 6 years ago when Elon was still the toast of the left, and now he finds out that his other progressive neighbor keyed it or put a swastika on it for some reason. This could end up red pilling a lot of liberals that thought they were doing the right thing before by saving the planet with their EVs. I don't know if they really get the damage that they're doing to the progressive left brand
Hmm.
with all of this. To say nothing of the just the property damage and the literal terrorism that's going on. And Pam Bondi is not an AG to fuck with. She's gonna come down hard on these folks.
Yeah, yeah, she is. No, I know. Every time I listen to her speak or see an interview, it's like, oh my God, contrast her with that pussy piece of crap AG we had underneath the
Oh
Biden.
yeah,
Oh my
Merrick
God.
Garland. Thank God he didn't end up on the Supreme Court.
How the fuck did that guy even get to where he got? Because even people that are stupid around him must know that he's stupid. I mean, just no common sense whatsoever. I don't care what education background you have. Listen to a lot of people with Harvard degrees that can't think their way out of a wet paper fucking sack these days. So, yeah, that's crazy. The other thing too that just strikes me about all that is Elon. Like, okay, so his company just rescued two astronauts. Um,
Yep.
no problem at all. He should be like getting like the Presidential Medal of Freedom and shit at the White House for stuff like that,
Yeah.
and all the pundits out there should be like, "Oh my God, this guy that's the innovator of innovators, and he's for free trying to reduce government costs so the taxpayers can have a better quality of life, and he's got this car company, and he's got this." I'm like, how are you not still sucking his dick, Left?
Yeah,
He's
he
done
could
more.
go if he wanted to, he could go live on his yacht in the South Pacific somewhere and have women flown into him every day. I
Yes,
mean,
yeah.
he doesn't need any of this stuff. Have you seen the showing their true colors? Have you seen the attacks coming out of the left now calling him a South African nepo baby? One very stupid congresswoman even got up as like, he came here as an immigrant. We don't need him messing up our stuff. I'm like, dude, I thought y'all were supposed to be the ones who loved immigrants.
Yeah, aren't you guys talking a lot about immigrants right now? And yeah, huh? No, I know. I can't remember who that congresswoman was, but
I can't remember either, but she's not that important. But she was saying some very stupid stuff.
well, they all do because they're stupid. I mean, I just come to that conclusion. I can't. Like this stupid. How can you logically reconcile hating somebody? And it all gets down to what I said. These are severely mentally ill people, and it's all because he supported Donald Trump and supports Donald Trump. It
That's the
doesn't.
only reason. It's because
The only reason.
he supported Donald Trump. That's it.
Isn't
That
that
tells you
crazy?
everything about how tribal and how evil these people are.
This guy's usually is pushing us into Tomorrowland at Disney. He's pushing
Mhm.
this world into that. He's making this world a better place with everything. Look, none of us thought that Doge was going to go in there and take a fucking jackhammer and everything was great. We don't want that. That's not what the point is. Nobody. Oh, I'm sorry. I get so flustered and I can't talk. Efficiency. We like efficiency.
Yep.
Real Americans like efficiency
Well, and
and
we like transparency, knowing what we're
transparency.
spending our money on.
Yes. And so now the left, you used to be all the defenders of the little guy and all that stuff. Now you support terrorism. You don't want transparency in government. You want the government to spend a lot of our money on stuff and take money out of supposedly the, people who aren't paying their fair shares pocket to pay for things that are crazy. And it goes back to two things. It goes back to Trump was right about the swamp.
Hmm.
Whenever people start talking about, well, hey, why I don't want some billionaire businessman running this country. It's like, no, I absolutely want a billionaire businessman running this country. I don't want a retired general. I don't know. I want somebody who I believe in civilian control of the military, just like you do. Um, I want these guys. I want the Elon Musks having influence because these are the smartest people around. Okay. He literally is one of the smartest people on the planet. Of course, I want him involved. I want him as an advisor, and that's all he is an advisor. He's not. He doesn't have the
And Trump
power
made
to
that
make
clear in his
policies.
cabinet meeting.
Yeah, yeah, and he's advising. He has no power to make policies. Um. Anyway, I also
If you
before
notice, you notice politically, Trump has done something very smart by making Elon the face because Elon's drawing all the fire and Trump is not.
right, right. No, he and you're right. God, but it just makes me sick. It's just, how about you guys just sit back? I mean, you even gave Michelle Obama credit for something she did when she was first lady. And I remember that too. And yeah, that was a good thing. It helped. It helped families. I don't care that your name has a D on it. If you do something good to help Americans, I'm going to support that thing at least, if not you as a candidate. And it's like that's all this guy's trying to do in his own very unique way is
I
help.
think I think Trump and Elon should come out, you know, against. They should come out against drinking bleach and see how the Democrats respond
Right.
because they'd all be putting powder in their donuts with Drano. or
God,
something if that happened.
it's the same attitude, and there's a lot a lot of rabbit holes we go down here, but it's the same thing why people all of a sudden hate Bobby Kennedy. You know, oh, I don't want a guy who I want a doctor running. Oh, how'd that work out with Fauci having doctors in
And
charge?
Burks.
Let me tell you something. We have some doctors that listen to this show, and I'm fearless in saying this. And I was in that arena many moons ago. Still have doctors that I'm friends with. Yes, even her. We're friends again. It's all good. Um,
Okay.
we talked it out. It's all good. Um,
Okay.
a little
Talked
insight,
it out.
little,
Okay.
little. No, of course, no.
Inside baseball, I got it.
When she's my little sister figure. Um, but the what was I going to say? Doctors really aren't that smart about things other than doctoring. I've been around a lot of them. I was in medical school with a lot of these people. These aren't people who think on a broad basis. Like I said, in that class 160, I think 10 of us voted for George Bush because one of the professors inappropriately did a poll, and
God.
like 10 of us. And I was around that community. You will not find I have a dermatologist, and he's like the coolest guy, laid back. We talk. I could tell his aides get pissed because he's sitting there shooting the shit with me most of the time instead of being a doctor, because we get along. But those are can be kind of rare. They're not big thinkers. So somebody from an administrative standpoint who's done this on the legal sense, who's argued to the Supreme Court, who has all the background and the smarts that he does. Do I want somebody in there that has more of a global approach to things rather than a prejudice towards, pharmaceuticals and some of the medical establishments? Look, the medical establishment is as swampy as it gets, brah, with all the insurance and the pharmaceutical companies and stuff like that. It is embedded. It's almost as bad as the legal system in this country.
Yeah.
So,
Look, I could do without some of Bobby's more loopy stuff, but I think Trump has got some of that stuff reined in. And like you said, I don't know that he can do much worse than what we had previously. Um, Fauci was the reason Fauci came out. I mean, I don't know if you saw there was an article in the New York Times this past week that said that was like, oh yeah, oops, it looks like we were misled. It really did come from a lab in Wuhan. I'm like, yeah, we've all been saying that, for 5 years now.
5
But
years.
the reason Fauci was so against that was because Fauci helped fund that lab. The NA while NHS was not allowed to give funds directly to Wuhan, they could give funds to advocacy groups like EcoHealth Alliance, and EcoHealth Alliance could then turn the funds to Wuhan.
Hmm.
So Fauci was scared about his own ass being on the line, which is why he was so vehement against it, and it showed just how interconnected and how, as you put it, swampy the entire establishment was. It, it we One of the reasons that Trump got reelected this time, and one of the reasons why some of his stuff has stayed so popular is because people have seen through the bullshit, and now they're like, okay, I get it. There's back in the mid to late 70s, even into the 80s, I think, you could shut down an argument by saying, well, I saw that on the news. And people would believe it
Hmm.
because the news had credibility and the authority figures had credibility.
Right.
C. Everett Koop, former Surgeon General, came out about the cigarettes thing, and people just instantly gave him credibility.
Right.
That does not exist anymore because we've been lied to so often. And people who lie, they think they're doing it for our benefit. No, you're treating us like morons, and we know you're lying for your benefit. So the damage that has been done to the credibility of the establishment, whether it's medical establishment, whether it's governmental establishment, whatever it is, the damage that has been done has been immense, and I don't know that they can recover that. I really, you're looking at generational before you can recover into that credibility, and it'll have to be generational where they've
Hmm.
been authentic. The government established credibility in World War II and with the boom that happened after World War II through the 50s.
Hmm.
But that has been eroded, and that credibility no longer exists. And in a way, it's a good thing. We should always be distrustful of government. I mean, it's not like FDR was, a patron saint. He had a good voice on the radio, and he ran World War II, but he was doing some shady shit.
Of course. Of
Uh,
course.
but people, they gave the benefit of the doubt to the government. They gave the benefit of the doubt to the medical establishment. That's why immunization, got as far as it did. And that's one of the down effects of people like Fauci and Deborah Birx is people now, cast a jaundiced eye at what's coming out and being like, okay, you lied to me before. How do I know you're not lying to me now? Yeah, the medical establishment, I don't, they're very focused. They're very hyper focused on making, trying to do well for their patients, and that's great. And I think that's how they should be focused. But I don't think they have a view of the larger world. The only place their view smacks up to reality is, while I hear a lot about how the healthcare system needs to be reformed, I've never heard a lot of doctors say that they should get paid less.
Right. Right. Well, and then I believe me, I've been down this road. I've written articles and all this stuff back in the past. The big bugaboo behind that too is you got to get read. Uh, Tort reform would change everything in this country, but it's never going to happen because lawyers are empowered at every level of our country, education,
Yep.
Hollywood, and deeply embedded in the government, the lobbying and stuff like that. And this is not conspiracy theory stuff, folks. This is just the truth. But tort reform, having been in the medical establishment and known the insides of it, and knowing, things like when Hillary and Bill were trying to pass the Managed Care Act in '93, and I did all this research, and that's how I ended up on Michael Reagan's radio show a couple times and stuff like that. The private hospital where my girlfriend at the time was an intern, private, beautiful hospital in Seattle, private, really good, never a hospital like it. Um, but I gave them a call and said I was doing this freelance article, and even a private hospital was mandated to do 75% of their work pro bono. Like
Really?
75% of everything was free. Yes, that was the law, state law or some or damn thing like that. And it was in the hundreds of millions of dollars that they were doing. So that system there alone makes the insurance companies greedy as fuck. People getting charged, people can actually pay. Oh, on top of it though, doctors have to pay ridiculous malpractice fees
Oh
to
yeah, it's in the
it's
hundreds of thousands of
insane.
dollars.
It's not worth going to medical school anymore. It really isn't if you're a young person. When people found out that I went to medical school for a while and all that, it's like, well, why'd you not finish? And I had my very good reasons why I didn't finish medical school. Um, and it was like because I realized it wasn't medicine. It was all financial, political bullshit.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest thing, and it turned me off because my one of my heroes growing up was that family practitioner in my hometown that I'd hung out with in the summers in his office and clerked for, and while I was trying to be a pre-med student and get in. And I know this is a rabbit hole, but without that malpractice insurance, it's like, you know, people don't may not realize this, but most doctors now do not take Medicaid. Most of
Yep.
them take Medicare, some form of Medicare, whatever your state or national Medicare is. But it's hard to find a good practitioner out on the economy that takes TriWest or VA,
Yeah.
because the paperwork to get the referrals is a bitch. It's still in the
Mhm.
dark ages because the VA runs it. And like I said, I don't disparage the VA for their care. It's their administrative process that has
Yeah.
always sucked. And then they get paid about 15% on the dollar for what they bill. I've looked at the statements, so
Mhm.
it's like to find somebody that is okay taking TriWest, they don't have to. They don't have to take TriWest. I got fortunate that I got hooked up with Providence out here for all what I'm going through with my hip and my back. And because I don't go to the VA because that's a 7 month wait. And
Mhm.
it's 2 hours from here for me to go to the VA through I-5 traffic. So, I'm on community care, which is nice. But I'm blessed that I've found going through this little bout of skin thing that I've had. I found a dermatologist just awesome. That's 10 minutes from my house that they found me. So, TriWest did a great job there. And then I'm in the Providence system for the primary care and all that other stuff. And the Providence system here is wonderful. I go into those offices and it's like everything is beautiful. You get seen quick, you're out quick. But it took me a year to get a primary care doctor through the system. That, and I still have to go an hour to a primary care doctor.
Mhm.
So it's crazy because hardly anybody around here wants to take TriWest. Hardly anybody does because it's a pain in the
Yeah.
ass. So y'all want that single payer system? You keep pushing for it because boy, it sure runs brilliantly. Just ask the Canadians.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who can look at the VA, the post office, or the IRS and say these people need to run my healthcare.
Yeah,
I think what most people want, I believe, is a false peace of mind thinking, well, I've got health care.
Right.
But that works great right up until the moment you actually need to use it.
Right. Right. And I just want to put this out there. I've been getting the care I need lately. My mind's at ease with that stuff. It's not fun when I'm going through and all that, but I have confidence in these doctors and my medical team. And every time that I've had to get care at the VA, whether it was trauma level care or mental health or anything like that, care providers are wonderful, and they really are. I've only met one in my life that I came across that I tried to get fired, um,
Uh,
and it was believe it or not, it was a pronoun thing because I said the wrong pronoun, and this person had tried to chew
oh,
me
you're
out
kidding.
in front of a group of vets, and I'm like, don't you ever fucking do that. And so I made some complaints, and I didn't see that person working there anymore. Um, and yeah, you don't embarrass a vet in front of 12 of his battle buddies. You don't do that. You don't do that.
Yeah.
Or try to. I tried to shame me, and she didn't embarrass me, or he, or whatever the fuck. And anyway, I want to move on from that topic. We went way too down that rabbit hole, but I just want to say I do feel blessed and I do get great care. So I'm not, oh God, I have to stand in line for 40 minutes. No, no, I get taken care of.
Yeah. One of the other things I wanted to bring up was these uh, these federal district court judges that are imposing nationwide injunctions
Right.
against
Yes.
the
Yes.
Trump
Yes.
agenda.
Yes.
And first of all, the founding fathers never intended for a single district judge to have that kind of power. And you got to remember the liberals. I hear people say, "Well, obey the courts." Well, first of all, they're going judge shopping. They know which judge has been appointed by whom. They know what their political proclivities are. I think Mike Lee, senator from Utah, had a very good solution. That if you're going to get an injunction against a presidential directive, there ought to be a special panel of two appeals court judges and one federal district judge. And the appeals court judges have to be from different, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Different circuits.
Hmm.
Um, and then any appeal from that goes straight to the Supreme Court. Now, I know that would increase the docket at the Supreme Court. Boo hoo, do your jobs. But it doesn't help when you got Justice Roberts saying, "Well, you know what? You shouldn't talk about impeachment of judges over political disagreements." Dude, they are not gods, okay? The founding fathers never intended for there to be a judicial supremacy in the country. That's what it is. We're not talking about co-equal branches of government.
100%.
Trump has not disobeyed a single judge's order yet that I'm aware of. However, it's going to eventually get to the point where he's going to pull an Andrew Jackson. I don't know if you know what Andrew Jackson did back in the 1830s, but the
Yep.
Supreme Court, the the
I,
the Chief Justice, and I don't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, made a ruling against Jackson, and Jackson was like, well, he's made his ruling, let him come enforce it. And that's the back and forth. Now, the impeachment, if they do any impeachment against some of these judges, like Boasberg, I think is the guy's name, who tried to turn around a plane full of
yes. Yep.
violent gang members, it's not going to, they're not going to be able to remove him from the bench because it takes a two-thirds majority in the Senate when you impeach a federal judge, and the Democrats aren't going to vote for it. But maybe we need to do some, actually get some trials going, get some judges thinking twice about, doing political shit. There's a judge in San Diego that blocked the transgender from ban from going into effect, and this judge in San Diego relied on her own independent research. Didn't rely on anything in the law. Relied on her own independent research to talk to block the ban. So I'm tired of hearing that the judges should be immune from political consequences. Nobody should be immune from political consequences in our country. They are siding with gang members. They are siding with some of the disparate elements of society, and not with the people who were actually elected to implement a lot of this stuff. It's just I've never liked judges thinking that they are gods. People like this Judge Boasberg, he thinks he's above it all. He tried to
Hmm.
order the Trump administration to provide, you know, explanations for why the plane wasn't turned around. Well, the plane was in international airspace when your order came down, dude. Sorry, you don't have jurisdiction over the Gulf of America. Just doesn't happen. And yes, I'm going to use that term.
Yeah, me too.
Uh,
There'll be a
but
t-shirt coming out soon.
yeah, so you don't have that kind of jurisdiction. It is going to get to a point where some folks are going to start disobeying judges at some point. And one last thing, and then I'll stop my rant. I'm tired of hearing from the left talk about how, well, Trump should obey the judges because they're perfect. Motherfucker, Biden didn't obey the judges. All right. Does anybody remember the student loan stuff? Does
Right.
anybody remember when they were talking about ignoring that federal district judge that banned abortion drugs? And I think it was in Texas. The
Hmm.
drug was mifepristone or mifepristone, something like that. But it was an abortion drug that this judge in Texas banned. And folks were like, well, you can appeal. Yeah, but you were not going to not use that drug while the appeal was going on, were you? The left is just as bad as the right is about not liking judges that make rulings against them. It's just that right now, it's going their way with their judge shopping. I mean, I would really like to see how they'd react to a federal district court judge saying that an unborn fetus has 14th Amendment protections of equal protection, and now all abortions are banned nationwide. Hey, you can appeal it, but you know what? No abortions get to go into effect until the appeal is heard. How do you think they'd react to that?
No kidding, right? Yeah, I mean it's hard to even put into words really for me to because I can't because I actually unlike some people that like I saw what you put on your page or something or on X that did you not go to civics class in school? You
Oh
don't
yeah,
know. I mean, there's a
that
lot of
moron.
yeah, there I get it from a lot of people who didn't pay attention and weren't interested in civics and US government and history and stuff like that. But you're a fucking judge. You're a federal district court
Yep.
judge. And you're doing exactly the opposite. You actually think that you have the power to tell the executive branch they can't do their job. So like the whole thing on banning trans soldiers. This anybody that was in the army for any period of time, especially in a leadership position, goes that this is such a brain dead no duh, and that the entire
Yeah,
thing it causes nothing but problems for everybody.
makes them
But
non-deployable as long as they're on the medication.
right, not only that, I got to tell you, well, why? How can you keep somebody from serving? You can keep anybody from serving if they fall under certain conditions. You don't have a right to serve your country.
Yeah, you don't have look. If you're asthmatic, you can't serve.
Right,
If you're too short, you can't serve. If you're
right,
too tall, you can't serve. If you
right.
have anorexia, you can't serve.
If you are diagnosed with a serious mental health disorder, you can't serve. And I'm
Yep.
sorry, but every one of those people has a serious mental health disorder. They do.
Yep.
I don't care. Nobody's ever can convince me that. I got the book Larnin to back me up. Has nothing to do with my redneck roots. You know, I
And I've always wondered what PT scale do we grade these people on?
right. I mean, yeah. I always thought male soldiers should get a bigger break on like the on the run because we got our artillery that kind of creates air friction coefficients that slows us down. Uh, okay, not me. I don't have one that's that big at all. That was me dreaming. But
That's
that
what
would,
slowed me down from. That's why I only ran a 12-minute 2 miles opposed to a 10-minute 2 mile.
I could hear that. I could hear that whistling going through your thighs.
Thought you heard the thump, the thump, the thump, the thump.
It's like, hey, you think I should be able to run a 10-minute 2 mile when I have three legs I got to worry about instead of two? Hey,
They didn't call me tripod for no reason.
that's right. Um, okay, that was a weird segue. I did want to talk a little bit about make some clarifications to folks who may not understand what's actually going on with the Department of Education and
Yeah.
Trump trying to whittle that down to something that looks a little more efficient. Okay, so here's another thing the left is against, which they don't exist. I just got to say it. You don't exist. You don't have a platform. You don't have a belief system. You just don't have it. You're just
No, they have a
against.
reaction.
You're just yeah, you're a child. You're a fucking child, and child should not be in charge of adult things. That's what I've been saying since I was in my 20s, and it's like I would never put a liberal in charge of anything. What? You guys don't think pragmatically. You just yeah, I'd have a few around me to keep my ass in check, but you shouldn't be in charge of policy. Sorry.
Yeah.
But um so just a very very quick summation from my point of view, and if you want to talk about that and then get into anything else you want to get into before we get off, but the they're not cutting education spending for
Uh,
students. As a matter of fact, they're doing exactly the opposite. And like I said, I have a ton of friends. A few of them listen to the podcast. Most of them went hard left, and I've given the reasons why I believe that's happened many, many times. But I don't hate teachers. Probably my favorite people that have ever lived in my life, my mentors and people that I love dearly, were my teachers, because that was my family. They were they were my peeps. My mom, of course, and I had a family, but my teachers and coaches meant the world to me. But I thought teachers were fucking gangsters when I was growing up. Man, I thought they were fucking like ride in, but more like fucking like 50s rockabilly. They were badasses. They were smart, they were funny, they were cool. A couple of my teachers, one was a Korea War veteran, the principal. That guy was fucking scary, but he was cool as shit. If you were a good student, he loved you. But there's been such a shift in our education system, and we have went from leading the world to down in the double digits in most categories. And now you got 69% of kids, like in the state of what was that one that came up in the third and
Illinois,
fourth
I
grade?
think.
Yeah, not even being able to read at an acceptable level. 69%. I mean,
Hmm.
there were a lot of dumb kids that I went to school with, and I was blessed to be one of the smart ones, but it wasn't like that. And we have, ever since
Yeah.
the Department of Education has come into being, we've gotten worse it's a glide path too. It's not like,
Yep.
it's because of the layers of bureaucracy. And then I'm just going to say it, that fucking cunt Weingarten, who worked so hard to shut down education during COVID, which we all knew was fucking stupid.
I
Um,
said at the time it was going to set us back, and look what has happened.
It has set us back a lot. And I'm sorry. I know a lot of teachers who are like, oh, I can't co-teach. You're a fucking coward. Get your ass out there and do your job. If
Hmm.
you have to mask up. I don't care. Get back in the classroom and teach your kids, because that's your one job to do on this planet that makes this planet better. And if you're not willing to do that, you should not be a public service. Should not get a check from our taxpayers. You shouldn't. Fuck you. And the thing that they're really trying to do, folks, is you reduce that. There's a mechanism to make sure the states get that money to spend how they see fit at the state level, because not all states are equal. We're the United States of America. We're not the Republic of America. Okay.
Hmm.
And to allow local leaders, to empower them to be able to do stuff, the administrators, which I think there's far too many in schools now. There used to be like a superintendent for three schools and a principal. And one of the other teachers would be vice president, only got an extra $1,000 a year or something for pretending to be the vice principal. There are so many layers of bureaucracy now. To get rid of some of that bureaucracy, hey, we spend more on kids. The misnomer that people don't get is we spend more per student capita than any country in the world on our education system. But it's not in direct education costs. It's in
No,
administrative and
administrative
Department of
costs.
Education.
Yep.
What was the one I heard since its inception? $7 trillion has been spent at the Department of Education. And we've gotten
I
worse.
don't know the number.
Yeah, I think it's $7 trillion is what they're banning about since Carter created it in the late 70s. And it's gotten worse and worse and worse in this country over almost every year it's been in existence. There was a blip in the 80s, but the 80s were cool. And we all wanted to go to school and show off our new fucking parachute pants and rat t-shirts. So, um, but yeah, that's what's really going on out there. It has nothing. There's going to be more money for kids, direct education, not less. Schools will have more flexibility. One of the things that I'd like to kind of see, I think about this as a pragmatic libertarian type, is maybe take some of the taxpayer burden off of all these people who have to pay school levies every year. Maybe that
Hmm.
reduces a little bit. Maybe property taxes don't have to go up by 12% because you live in a district where your kids don't even go to, you don't even have kids in school or something like that. Um, Not against paying for education in this country, not at all, but we can do it smart. We can do it smarter.
Yeah. Well, one thing I keep bringing up to folks, first of all, on that thing that you're talking about in Illinois, I don't know if you saw this. There's a list of 30 schools in Illinois
Mhm.
where not a single kid at the school was reading at grade level. Not one.
Jesus.
Uh, but look,
Teachers teach, man. Come on.
for those who don't understand, I mean, a lot of people seem to think that the Department of Education has been around forever, like, the Department of Defense or the State Department. Even though the
Yeah,
Department
no.
of Defense used to be the War Department. Um, no, the Department of Education didn't come into being until October of 1979. Okay, we had teachers before that. We had schools before that. There has not been a single metric, not one, that has gotten better since the establishment of the Department of Education.
No, not one.
And
You're right.
you brought up a good point. You know, I don't. There's no need to federalize education. First of all, every school district is going to teach reading, writing, and arithmetic. Okay, that's just going to happen. So stop pretending like it won't unless some bureaucrat in DC says so. But maybe the people in Vermont want to have a slightly different curriculum than the people in Texas. Or maybe California wants to have a slightly different curriculum than the people in Tennessee. That's, local control where parents get to decide, and parents are involved in their children's education is a big deal. And it's not like spending all this money, like you said, we spend the most per pupil than any nation on earth. Okay, and we are in, I think last time I saw the rankings, we were 14th.
I think
Um,
17 is what I saw, but yeah, that's pretty
it
bad.
might have been.
That's
It
but
might it might be 17.
for the most
But
developed Western country in the world, that's pretty bad.
yeah, and this money is not going to buy computers or pay for uh, tutors or anything. Okay, you're paying for a comfy chair for some bureaucrat downtown or a bunch of plane tickets so they can go to an educator conference in Austin. Okay, this money is not going to the pupils. Now, one thing I will say, um, to cut the teachers a little bit of slack on this is parents got to do their jobs too.
Oh,
Okay,
sure, absolutely.
the rise of single parent households, when you don't have somebody that can sit down with the kid and make them study at night, make them do their homework. I mean, I'm going through this with an 11-year-old right now who hates homework. I got to remind her constantly to do it. I got to remind her to study. Hey, honey, you've got this writing thing due. Here, we're going to take an index card. You're going to write your summary, once on the front and once on the back to make sure that you got it down. Parents have got to do that stuff.
Hmm.
And if the parents aren't involved, or you're dealing with like a single mom who's working 2 or 3 jobs and can't even be around her kid, the kid's not going to do well in school, and that sucks. Because while I don't necessarily believe you learn everything you need to in school, unfortunately, it is a credentialing system that gets your foot in the door. It does open up opportunities, because that's just the way the system is built. But back to the teachers, I had some good teachers growing
Please
up.
fuck off. Jesus.
But you
My
get
dogs.
your
My dogs
dogs.
are yes.
Nice.
They want to eat.
Um, but I had some good teachers growing up. I had some shitty teachers growing up. Um, I would like to see some accountability with teachers. People say you need to pay
Got it.
teachers more. When when we can fire the bad ones, then I'll be willing to pay teachers more. As long as we can't fire a teacher just because they've been there longer,
Right.
I'm not willing to give teachers a raise. I'm sorry, I'm not. It's my money. Okay? So if you want more of my money, then you have to meet at least some of my conditions. The Department of Education it's not been a force for good in American society. Randy Weingarten, her push against, I mean, the kids were the least at risk group during COVID. Fewer died during COVID than died of the swine flu. I think I read something that the numbers were barely in the double digits, for children who were healthy, that got COVID and died. And look, it's horrible when a child dies. I get that, but you're putting them at risk when you put them in a car. More children die in car accidents, but we don't say, "Hey, let's ban putting children in cars." We don't do that. We put in place mitigation measures. But Weingarten, she was trying to get her teachers years of paid vacations, what she was trying to get.
Hmm.
Um, and the educational damage was immense. Now, to be fair, there was some personal benefit for me because the school that my girls went to were off for that last quarter in 2020, the fourth quarter, when nobody knew what was going on, and then they went back to full 5 day a week in person school starting the next school year. My children ended up ahead of so many other people's children. So on a personal level, hey, great for me. My kids are doing better. But for the nation as a whole, we've been an entire generation that kind of got lost in the sauce with some of this. And part of this is I've heard it credibly argued as part of the reason for the shift rightward by the Generation Z folks is because they went through COVID and they saw the loss, and now they're like, well, we don't ever want to do that again. So, yeah, we need to fix education, but we don't need to federalize it. We don't need to centralize it. I promise no one's going to be teaching, voodoo witchcraft, somewhere, or rain dances as part of the curriculum in in, I don't know, Topeka, Kansas. Everybody wants to learn to read and write and cipher.
Yeah, you brought a bunch of amazing. That was Lucille.
Okay, I'm sure.
Really? You want to be part of this podcast? Is that what you're saying? You're going to be a co-host from now on? You're going to yell at me when it's a half hour past your guys' dinner time? Sucking dicks. Um, God, you're spoiled. They're, fuck, they're spoiled. Took them out in
Yeah.
the pouring rain today just so you guys go get your beef jerky treats and stuff. Um,
I got two. I see some things online. I'm gonna try with the dogs. The the hand holding challenge or the paw challenge. I'm gonna try that. I don't know if you are familiar with that.
I'm not.
I heard it requires two people to do it. Put the hand out here, other person puts the hand on top, and then you see if the dog puts their paw on top of yours.
Oh, okay.
Um, I've seen some videos where some dogs will put the paw on top, and some dogs will just rest their head there, expecting to be pet, and some dogs will just, start growling or attack. Um,
Interesting. Would you guys
yeah, so
leave for like 10 minutes so I can finish my podcast? Could you guys leave, please? Doors open. We'll talk to you soon. You've been eating all
Lucille, stop it.
shit. She tries to, it's cute. I don't know if you could hear her through the microphone. She's got a very distinct voice now. But I think she tried to copy Huckleberry with his howls, when she was
Yeah.
young. She's come up with this whole thing. Sometimes it's like 30 seconds and he sounds like Chewbacca a little bit. It's pretty cool. Um, any other issues you want to touch on? I was thinking that one we want to talk about. I'm table that till next weekend so I could be a little bit more prepared for the
Okay, we can do that.
because I'd like to go back and forth with you a little bit and define it a little bit better. Otherwise, I'll be pulling it out.
Yeah, otherwise we're just gonna be kind of shooting from the hip. I mean, I
Yeah,
know some of the stuff that we'll argue about, but
I do
we
too
probably
because
need a little more structure to it.
we've argued about it a bunch of times. So, but no, I just at least wanted to tell you that hey, my good friend Derek is mostly on your side when it comes to taste or lack thereof in music.
Sounds like an intelligent man,
Derek is a smart guy. Yeah, no, he's a good guy. It's good to see him.
and
Shout out to
everyone should agree with me.
shout out to hardcorehusky.com. A lot of fun over there. I was one of the original members, so it's nice to still be a small part of that. Anyway, yeah, we talked about a lot. I know we didn't do a real long podcast, but that's okay. We
An
can,
hour 20.
yeah, that's good. That's probably a good amount. Um, that way I can get this processed today and get it up tonight, so it's not sitting there in space. And I don't think I said anything incredibly controversial to get our YouTube blocked this week.
Let's hope not.
I don't think
I'm
I said. I use the C
the
word,
only,
but
the only thing about ending the podcast now is I probably won't be going to bed for another hour or so. The reason I bring that up is Thursday is one of my fasting nights, and so I
oh
got to
no.
survive another hour without food.
Talking about fasting, I recently got into a discussion with somebody who's a doctor, and with all my health problems, I'm going to be doing a big cleanse first and try to get the body feeling all completely emptied out, and then I will be back to my intermittent fasting, which works really, really well for me, especially if I really behave on my diet. And I was talking about that, and this doctor who knows so much about everything was horrified that I would consider a small fast and intermittent fasting as part of my healthcare routine. I'm like, you do realize that fasting is an important part of like 4 billion people's health regimen on the planet. And intermittent fasting, there's so much evidence now about the efficacy of intermittent fasting that it's not even questionable. But this is a doctor who wanted to tell me about nutrition. It's like, okay, yeah, keep talking to me.
And look, as much as I despise what, just for everybody to know, the way I'll do it twice a week, sometimes three times a week. I've tried to get this back up. I managed to lose 18 pounds doing this once, and then the poundage started creeping back up, and I stopped. So I want to get back into it. I'd like to lose about 16-ish, 16 to 17 pounds, get back down into the 170s if I can. Um, if I lost 16, I'd be down around, I'd be in the mid 70s.
Hmm.
But as much as I hate it, because I do love food and I do love rich
Hmm.
food,
I hear you.
what I've noticed, especially, and I don't know if you've experienced this, mentally, I'm so much more clear when
Hmm.
I'm on one of these regimens. The way that mine works is on the day that I'm going to do the fasting, I'll eat breakfast, I'll eat lunch, and then I won't eat until lunch the following day. So
Hmm.
I'll skip dinner, and then I won't eat breakfast. I'll go work out. I won't eat breakfast, and then I'll eat sometime somewhere around 11:30 or noon. So I've gotten almost 24 hours in of that. But when I do that mentally, my thoughts are clear, and
Hmm.
so in a way, I kind of hate that. I wish that my thoughts would be clear if I was eating donuts and pizza all the time, but that's just not the way that the brain works.
It doesn't. No, and I have a biology degree, and I've been keeping up on this, so I won't bore anybody with it. But the best I ever feel is when I do my 72 hours, 60 to 72 hour fasts,
Hmm.
and I'm very strict. I don't even do like well, sometimes I'll do like bone broth and the turmeric cayenne pepper mix kind of thing a couple times a day, and that's fine. But when I do my actual like I feel like really hungry the first day. I feel kind of shitty the second day. Like I'm tired and I want to go lay down.
Yeah.
And then when I wake up on that third morning, I'm like, I don't even want to eat again. I feel like $1 million. And I'll go look in the mirror and the skin looks 5 years younger and my eyes look brighter. And it's weird. People can say whatever no, there's science behind it. Don't tell me, oh, toxins are no. When I eat carbs at night, like last week, I was like, fuck, I'm hungry. I don't have anything. So I made a whole box of macaroni and cheese and ate half of it and gave the rest to the dogs.
I've done that before.
I fucking wake up sick, like I have a
Yeah.
hangover, like literal like alcohol hangover. I feel terrible, and it's
Um,
if I eliminate carbs out of my life, I'd be living different. I would.
I wish I could, but I enjoy my pasta too much. I enjoy
I
my
get
my
you.
bagels. I wish I didn't, but I mean, look, like it's only been about the last 140, 150 years that the human race's default condition has not been starvation.
Right.
And so our bodies are programmed to when you get a chance to get that particular kind of nutrition, you only need a little bit of it, but the body doesn't know when it's going to get it again. So it's programmed to say grab as much as you can because we don't know when we'll see it again. Even though obviously we live in an era of plenty and lots of food and stuff, but biologically our bodies just haven't and our minds haven't evolved to accept that yet. So that's one of the reasons why we eat the butter and we eat the sweet stuff because it was so rare to get that kind of shit when we're out there hunting, gazelles on the Serengeti. But I have you ever? I don't know if you saw this. I normally do not watch Colbert. I think Colbert is an ass face.
Oh, I can't.
But I
Yeah,
saw
parking lot. I'm paying for the ticket. That's one of those guys.
I saw a clip on YouTube where he had Chris Pratt on. And I really like Chris Pratt.
Hmm.
And Pratt was talking about he did this 21-day fast of Daniel from
Hmm.
the Bible
I'm
where
familiar with it. Yep.
it was no meats, no carbs. It was like all nuts and when the few times he did eat, it was like nuts and raw vegetables and that kind of stuff. And he said it was one of the best. It was a 21-day deal, and it was one of the best fasts he ever did. I'll be honest, I don't have the willpower to do something like that, but it sounded like it would be something great to do. I'm lucky that I have the willpower to get through 24 hours almost.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. No, it's not easy. The big thing for me is I have to just stay really, really engaged in something, like not like watch TV, because when I watch TV, then I get the instincts to, back in the old day, that would be like pop a cold one or a vodka soda and eat a pizza, when I'm watching movies. So that's still I have to always be drinking something. It's usually like 0 calorie something.
well,
When I watch TV to fight off the cravings late at night because it's like, oh God.
one of the things I'm not good at, but I need to get better at. I need a prophylactic response to stuff that I like. What I mean by that is if I put the sweet stuff in the house, I'm gonna want to go eat it. So I try to get to where I don't eat the sweet stuff Monday through Friday. I try to save it for the weekends, but I'm not always successful. So I need it to where it's not even available, to where it's not even in the house, where when I get the craving, I can't go get it. I'm just not good with that. Did I ever tell you the time? And I hope you didn't get too mad at me for mentioning this. Did I tell you the time that I got blamed for my wife eating a box of Rice Krispie treats?
You did actually.
For those who don't
share,
know this story,
share this story. It's funny.
my wife was trying to eat healthier, and she's like, "All right, so I don't want any of this stuff around." So I had a box of Rice Krispie treats because I love Rice Krispie treats. They're awesome. But I took them out of our pantry. pantry where the previous owners had painted over the ants, and I I put them in the closet in what we had. We didn't have any kids at this time, so in the closet of the room we had designated as our office, as our computer room. Um, and so I go up there one day to get a Rice Krispie treat, and the box is empty. And I'm like, honey, what happened to my Rice Krispie treats? And suddenly it's my fault. It's like, you didn't hide those Rice Krispie treats well enough. I was on the computer and I saw them sitting there in the closet, and so I had to get some of them. And I'm like, how is this now my fault that somebody else ate my Rice Krispie treats that I tried to hide? But we're both like that, where if it's in the house, we're gonna eat it.
Yeah.
So um, we have to just not have it available. It's like the old parable of there's a guy, I don't know if you've heard this, there's a guy who goes down to where the women are bathing and he averts his eyes and he thinks that he's being virtuous, where the more virtuous guy is the one that actually never goes down to the water, so he's not presented with the temptation in the first place. And that's kind of how we are with our food is, you know, I don't need the Rice Krispie treats or the cookies in the house because if they're there, my body is going to crave them so much that I'm going to break down and then I'm going to feel like shit about breaking down.
Right.
Um, and yeah, so I can't do that.
It's a smart way to do it. What I usually do to control my eating during the week is I got my stuff, but I allow myself to go to the store on Friday and get pretty much what I want for Friday night and watch some movies, and
Yeah,
that way.
that's one thing that's so important that I don't think people who are like all these, diet, like I have this great diet, you have to have at least one cheat day.
I
You have to
agree.
have something to look forward to because if you don't, you're gonna break down some point and gorge, and then you're gonna feel like shit. Not just
Yeah.
physically, but you're gonna feel shit mentally, like you weren't strong enough. So you need something to look forward to, something to allow yourself that vice for at least one day a week, because you can't go forever without it. Yeah, you have to have that.
Absolutely. Yep. I get it. Well, hey, you're welcome for the hot nutrition talk from the Two Grumpy Bastards podcast. Okay. Before we sign off, I promised one of our pod fans, one of our most dedicated listeners, um, that I would share a sea shanty that my dad used to sing because St. Patty's Day kind of reminded me all that kind of, oh. So it's kind of funny. He used to go down by the sea, down by the sea, down by the CUNT. You're welcome.
Thank you. That's gonna make my eardrums bleed.
That was great. Well, with that, I think I better feed these two jackalopes.
Yeah,
Jackanapes.
before they try to eat your balls tonight.
Lucy's big enough to. I could just about. You could put like a 9-year-old child on Lucy on a saddle now. You could.
Nice.
Actually, it's not a bad idea. Hey, maybe you could bring a monkey, like one of those ones I don't like, and we could have a monkey ride Lucy around.
Monkey race, yeah.
Maybe that would maybe that would get me not so like hating monkeys so much. Would you
I,
stop
I
it?
got I got a picture of my oldest daughter when she was like 3 or 4 years old, and she's straddling the back of my yellow lab at the time, and he's just looking up like, "Why me?"
Yo, I know. They're so nice. All right, buddy. Well, I'm going to sign off and get this produced and get this up tonight so people can enjoy it on their commute on a Friday or however.
I've seen a few. I've gotten a few more folks I hang out with to start to. One guy, well, you won't be able to see it on here, but he sent me a picture of himself in his car, and he had two grumpy bastards pulled up on his
Oh, that's awesome.
on computer. So
That's awesome. Well, when we're getting close to a milestone over on the Two Grumpy Bastards Facebook group, where we do some fun and some serious things over there, and where we post
I
all
need
the.
to do more. I know. I know.
But we're gonna hit a milestone because we've been growing, and we're gonna have a cool little contest
Okay.
on the milestone. Yeah, so I'll just leave that out there as a tease. So invite your friends over to the group. Anybody can invite people. Invite your friends over to the group. We've only had a couple of people that were actual trolls come on there and try to disrupt things. So
I
um,
banned one of them.
yeah, I did too. Banned another one. So I think we've only had two in the history of the page.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's where we do our social media. Russ and I do tweet on X a little bit, so you want to follow us there. It's two with the number two, Grumpy Bastards podcast. I think you can get it writing it out too. Just depends. I'm just a shit stirrer over there now. I just go after people. I went after Captain Mark Kelly.
Oh, really? The
Yes,
one who traded his Tesla for an SUV?
yes, he traded his Tesla for an SUV. This is a guy that was Navy. Was he Navy or Air Force? I can't remember. He's astronaut
He was
fan.
Air Force.
Yeah, I think Air Force. And I I've trolled him religiously because I'm like, hey, Captain Mark Kelly, how come you still have Captain in your signature line? Are you still on reserve duty or something like that? Because once you retire, it's kind of douchey to keep that in your title. And
Yeah.
so I've been going after. I hate it when ex-military officers do that. General da 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 da, and it's like you haven't been a general for like 10 years. Come on,
Yeah.
that's great. Hey, congratulations. I'm no not taking away from anything you accomplished, but I just think it's douchey. I just do. I always have.
Yeah, well, I'm in a no, Kelly was in the Navy. Okay, I got that wrong.
Okay, I
Um,
thought so because I made some, and we have Navy guys on here I love, and they know I love them, but I made some reference to the Navy versus the Army, that kind of thing, and
well, at some point I'll have to show you maybe we can have this discussion somewhere down the road, but I'm in the debate's gone on for about a week right now with some douche on another page that about the number of GOs and flag officers
I've seen that.
uh, in service, and this guy thinks that we need more GOs. Um, and I'm like, he's like, you don't understand the concept of, span of control and everything. I'm like, dude, we have instant communication now around the world. I don't need.
How is another GO going to help span of control and instant community? I mean, how does that's counterintuitive.
Yeah, I'll show you this stuff. We can get into that next
I've seen
week.
a little bit of it. I've seen a little because you know where I stand on that. I mean,
Yeah,
we probably have 3,000 more flag officers in the military than we need. I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts. I've
yeah,
had to be a part of that at the political level where you get up there and you're working at division level staffs and stuff, and you see just the complete grinding halt when you have a bunch of birds and a 1-star and a 2-star all in the same building at the same time. It's just like,
yeah,
how about you fuck off and just let me do what I've done really well, and I've got all my OERs to prove it.
yeah.
I'm not
Yeah,
okay.
let's get into that more next week. I'll bring the receipts from that.
Okay, that's kind of scary. Lucy growls at my TV when she sees something she thinks is a threat to me. There's a
Yeah.
lady holding up 2 babies, and Lucy's growling.
Maybe she thinks they're yours.
Don't bring those over to my daddy's house. I'm his only daughter. All right, bud. Let's sign off. I will talk to you soon, and we can text back and forth about that segment that we want to do next week, so we make it a little bit better segment. And
Yep, sounds good.
I'm feeling better, so I'd like to put together some videos through the week too to do a little bit more of a video review next week. So that's always kind of fun.
Sounds
All
good.
right.
Okay.
From the Two Grumpy Bastards podcast, remember to keep your focus and
Stay wokeless.
Well, hey everybody, this is Coop, the handsome and debonair one of the Two Grumpy Bastards podcast. Not to mention I'm the only one that's an actual bastard. Google that shit. Don't, actually. Hey, I'm here to do a shameless plug for our merchandise. You can find us at twogrumpybastardsmerchandise.com. We got a whole bunch of new merchandise in. I think you'll like some of the new choices. There's some pro-Second Amendment. There's some anti-Washington State Governor stuff on there. I think you'll really appreciate it. New stuff coming all the time. I have 2 great designs in the works, so please, to support this podcast, that's one of the easiest ways to do it. We're also on Etsy. Yeah, I know, Etsy. You can find our products on eBay as well. Storm King Mercantile is the name of the store there that fronts us. And there's many, many other ways to support this podcast, of course. We have a Patreon page, same thing, Two Grumpy Bastards. We certainly would appreciate you following us on Instagram. Most of you probably know we have a Facebook page, Two Grumpy Bastards Podcast. We have a lot of fun over there, a lot of frivolity, a lot of memes, and a lot of hard-hitting news. Believe it or not, a lot of great people in that group. Also, all of the social media outlets, including now on TikTok. You can find us there. And one of the things that I really wanted to tell you is if you have any feedback for Russ, especially because he kind of sucks, feel free to email us at twogrumpybastards@gmail.com. That's the easiest way to get a hold of us, or you can always leave us a comment or an IM on, or DM, I should say. See, I'm so savvy. I'm so savvy. On our Facebook page. So we really appreciate you listening or watching us over there on YouTube as well. And we hope you do both, because Russ is something to look at. I said something. I didn't say something really great to look at. Anyway, thanks for listening. This is your intrepid, amazing, and grateful host of the Two Grumpy Bastards podcast, Coop. Remember, keep your focus and stay wokeless.